Hello, my name is Jessica. I'm a musician and a yoga therapist. I also just did a certificate in music therapy, and I've been involved in a few different support groups for caregivers of people with Alzheimer's or dementia. And I wanted to just share, last night just came to me really suddenly, a really simple tool that pretty much everybody should be able to use. So when you're dealing with your loved one who has dementia, there comes a point in time where communication becomes difficult and there can be a lot of agitation. And it becomes like, what do I do? How do I visit with this person? How do I let them know that I care? I can't really communicate with them normally, or they're very agitated when they do see me and I don't know how to cope. It's too hard. So here is something you can do. Have a playlist. So what I personally have been working with is a playlist that I made for my dad. Now, here's the thing about the playlist that's important to remember. It can't be your music. It has to be their music. So music that they listened to when they were growing up, or when they were teenagers, things that they really loved, maybe music that they would have danced to at the first dance, or anything that has a memory attached to it will be really great. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they'll suddenly come out of the fog and start talking about 1955, although that does happen. But it does give you something that you can do. Put on the music. And having the playlist set up in advance means that if, say, your loved one is just agitated, you don't have to think about what to do. You can just push play. So if they're in a state where they're not really very functional, you can have your playlist set up for them on your phone and just take it in and play it for them if they start to get agitated. And it does seem a little bit weird because they may be, like full on ranting and yelling at you about something. And your response is to put on some music. That may seem artificial and a strange distraction, but it's actually very compassionate care, because when your loved one is really agitated with you, the boiling it down part, it's not about you. It's not about what they're upset about even. It's about the lack of control that they feel and the frustration that comes up because they're losing parts of themselves. And they're sometimes aware of that and not even aware of why they're so agitated, but you can't actually address their agitation directly. A lot of the time, you're not going to get, you can't say, well, I'll just put the plant over here then and they'll stop being upset. That may or may not work. But music is a very interesting thing in that it is stored in multiple parts of the brain. And if you watch shows, there's a movie called Awakenings. It's a Robin Williams film, and it's kind of the beginning of what became music therapy, where they start working with music and bringing people out of this almost comatose state that they were in. And it's a very powerful practice. So what I did for my dad is I went through and I picked material that he had written and recorded at different times in his career that would have had different associations, different musicians that he played with, and the chance for a multiple amount of memories to come up. And then I burned them onto a CD because he's in a care home, and for some reason, certain technology, playing a CD is fine. He can do that. But playing an iPod, there's no way. Now, whether he remembers to actually play it or not is another thing, and I'm trying to get the care home on board with going in and putting the CD on and playing his music for him to listen to every day, and I don't think I'm really getting anywhere with that. They have memory care, but I don't think that they really have the staff and the concentration right now because they're dealing with trying to keep people alive. So also, the other thing I would say is for yourself as a caregiver, have a playlist for yourself. Have a playlist that's set up for you of songs that you have beautiful associations with, great memories, good times with friends, dances you went to, even like songs that you learned or sang with your friends, or, you know, anything that you have good memories attached to. And have your own playlist. So if you go and have a visit with your loved one, or you have a run-in with your loved one and it gets stressful and difficult, then you have a go-to, right? Like the big problem with being a caregiver is that there's so many issues that come up, and they're sudden and they're pressing, and you have to decide what to do. And it's very taxing on the mind, because you're constantly dealing with stuff that comes up, and it's not optional. Someone has to decide, and it usually falls on one person's shoulders. So that right there would give you something to do. I've just had this really stressful interaction, and I'm really feeling a lot of grief, and it's not a distraction to get you out of feeling your grief, but it's to give you some hope and some good memories and a nice way to decompress from the stressful demands that are just a part of being a caregiver. So I hope that that's helpful, and you can let me know if you have any questions.